Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. DB333, and welcome back to Suzerain. Is this turn 5? I think this is turn 5. In the last video, we did a lot of negotiation with the party to get the Constitution figured out. We got the signing figured out. We got both sides of our party, most importantly, to support our reform faction. We're doing investments overall in Lauren. We're about done with the highway. We had a little issue with some strikers, but we got that figured out. And now we're just having a grand old time, really. Oh, Arcasia's offering aid. The Foreign Ministry of Arcasia has offered a substantial amount of financial, logistical, and equipment support to help our country. Return Arcasia requests for fuel and repair access to the Lower Air Force Base whenever they require. President Dwight Walker has sent personal assurances that this agreement is for peaceful purposes only. We will accept that. Get a little bit of extra money. Investments from Arcasia. Have some Air Force relocations. We're also getting Arcasian aid, which is pretty nice. Means weak international leadership. Well, we're going to meet with Smolak and Van Horten soon. Let's get some full trade plans figured out. So we have the Religious Harmony Bill. Purpose of increasing religious harmony and unity, the following laws are established in religious affairs. Section 1 of the Archbishop will ensure the day of desecration ceremony, the Arch Sanctuary Diary shall from now on only hold sermons in the Sordish language. Section 2 will forbid sanctuaries from holding sermons in Bludish unless we receive our approval from the Archpriest of Sordland. Section 3 will enforce all priests applying to St. Station and have Sordish descendants to be able to receive their salaries and pensions. No. Let's see. We have condemnation from United Cortana for inviting Arcasia to meddle in our affairs. Yes. And then Whole Sword. Ministry of Health could allow privatization in the health system, but I don't know if that'll be too necessary. President Reign protects religious freedom. It's always good to see a radical not up our ass. Well, we got a call from Mr. Manger. I'm sipping my first cup of coffee for the day when the phone lit up and rang. I swore under my breath. I thought the schedule was clear for at least half an hour. I picked the phone. Mr. President, how are you doing on this fine day, if I may ask? Fine as well. You? I'm good, because business at Sorland is running as usual from my end. Thanks for asking. I'm calling because I received a call from the CEO of Armadine Industries, R&D Brigades, about the recent initial public offering of a Venture City Stock Exchange. As might guess, it's about our significant venture investments of 2,000 shares, worth nearly 2 million ren. I'm very pleased to say that we have made gains. Shares have doubled in price in the IPO in the VSC, and we will soon receive the profits made from the investment. Isn't that great? Yeah, great news. How much you'll gain? You will love it. In total, we've made nearly 3 million Sordish ren. Deserves a yes, but look at where we're at now. It's all thanks to you. Well, I will take that. Thank you. The future, this is put in comparison to what we will do in the future. The money will be transferred to your personal bank account shortly. Keep me up to date on other opportunities. We'll let you know immediately when new opportunities arise. Goodbye for now. The line dropped. Well, we got some nice personal wealth. I gotta love that. I believe if your budget is really low around turn 4, when turn 4 starts, there's a huge economic crash, and that will make all your stocks go up in smoke. But if you avoid that, you'll manage. We have a choice between a party and immigration. Let's do immigration. Sounds a bit more meaty right now. We're in the middle of a meeting in the palace about our immigration policy. The ensuing discussion quickly became heating. I don't think so, Mr. Whiskey. It doesn't make any sense to me that a foreign citizen should come before a Sordish citizen in Sordland. Well said. My analysis is also in line with this. Especially during the economic recession, we are giving sortish jobs to migrants from other countries. What about our own people? Immigrants are the only reason our economy is not completely unsalvageable. Look at the Agnolian immigrants in Agland. They've revitalized the whole system and in turn boosted the economy of the entire country. Simon can attest to that. Statistically speaking, allowing immigrants to become part of the workforce contributes to our economy, but I agree that the current situation is very nuanced. With that said, we can't just tighten our immigration policy and expect the economy to stay the same. We need to put our economy in the recession at the forefront. Thankfully, we have just started receiving financial aid from Arcadia. And then what? We'll become their servant? First, they will place their warplanes in El Lori, then their armies will come. You'll see. I do not approve of this decision at all. I've done this with Swedish citizens in mind, nothing else. That's how they took you over countries, you know. Mr. Lancha has a point. We've seen it happen many times. Gentlemen, can we please get back on topic? Right, sorry, Mr. Whiskey. As I was just saying before I was interrupted, look at the superpowers. Do you see them closing off their borders? What do you think their economies are in such good shape? They are in their current state because they welcome immigration and use it to their advantage. I agree that we need to consider the economic impact of immigration. Our money flow should be of utmost concern if we want to have the capability to accomplish actual change. We need a discussion. Before we move on, Mr. President, do you have any question about the current state of immigration? How many immigrants usually arrive here? There are three major paths they choose. The first is Agnolia to Agnolia border, the second is Bergia to Velen border, and the third is Lauren Coast. Agnolians are the largest group. It's a light border over there, although recently political fugitives from Vogsland have been crossing the Grey Sea by boat to land on our coast. Politically persecuted Vezek refugees tend to use the dangerous mountain passes at the Velen border. Many of them also have Bluish blood. How many immigrants live in Sorlin? Official numbers show that we have anywhere between 2 to 3 million immigrants residing in Sorlin. Even excluding the countless undocumented aliens in our midst, that is a very substantial amount. The primary issue is with strife they cause between less fortunate Sword citizens and themselves. Including them in the workforce would benefit everyone, including unemployed Swords. More taxes means more services. Current legal status? Currently, all accepted immigrants are given a work permit on arrival so that they can work and contribute to the economy of Sorlin. There's currently no limit on the number of immigrants accepted, however the number has been remained stable over the past year. Despite the laws, the fact is that many immigrants illegally work for corporations. That's the main issue of immigration right now, not the immigration itself. Nonsense. If not for the unlimited amount of immigrants, we wouldn't be in this state. Let's move on and see what can be done. Very well. David Whiskey opened up his dossier stamped with a seal of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade. Before we make any decisions, I have to remind you, during the election we promised to keep our immigration laws relaxed, which I think is the right course of action. I disagree. We're supposed to control and reduce the negative effects of immigration, like crime and subversion. I see your point, Yosef, but the economy certainly benefits from more immigration. Internal order, on the other hand, suffers immensely. We should tighten the laws to prevent further chaos. This is going nowhere. Well, I'm ready to make a decision. Yes? Everyone lean forward, eager to hear my response. We will keep immigration laws relaxed. I am glad you made the right choice. We will be forced to handle new waves of migrants from Agnolia. Our border posts aren't ready. Not only that, we've just abandoned the native swords who need our support the most. Also, this will bring a new tide of refugees from Velen. Bergia is already a difficult region to manage. This is shameful. The citizens of Sorlin aren't forgotten. Our work for them continues. And now they will compete with foreign immigrants just to put food on their tables. Weren't they already? I'm disappointed in you, Rain. Anything else, Mr. President? Thank you for your contributions. Let's wrap this up. The ministers gathered documents and rose from their chairs, some with frowns on their faces. I'm looking forward to the upcoming trade talks. Peter and I are visiting Stallport and Vaklitz in preparation. I'll be coming along to talk with the economy minister. Looking forward to potential partnerships. If we are finished, I need to head off and get the ministry to work on the new policy. Same here. Our border units need to be informed and prepared. Keep up the good work. The ministers dispersed. Well, Freedom and economic choice. See what we have. Order. Nationwide protests quelled. There we go. That's good. We have streamlined immigration. That's nice. We have some relaxed immigration. The Justice reports the restructuring of the ministry has been completed with success after increase of the budget. According to reports, a large portion of the budget was transferred to specifically the court case backlog issues at lower courts, which already ease the situation. Additional efforts will be directed at fighting corruption, upholding the integrity of justice, and the consolidation of the rule of law. Mr. Morgna says she intends to bring back trust in the judicial system with more accessible and efficient courts, a public information campaign, and by rooting out corruption in society. I'm going to pull my guide back out real quick. And then we're heading to the private party of the Gentlemen's Club. Far from becoming accustomed to my workload as president, I only felt more and more snowed under as the weeks progressed. It had been ages since I had any time to myself. I was starting to lose my focus, and my temper was growing increasingly thin. Peter was the first to realize I needed a break. After much cajoling, he finally persuaded me to come to a meeting of his new venture, the Gentlemen's Club. For the past few months, he'd been hosting a salon of sorts, not just for politicians and businessmen, but also for artists, entertainers, people of taste, he told me with a smile on his face. There's only one rule. No wives, girlfriends allowed. Hence the name. So I found myself in front of his new luxury villa in Air Lorry. Very loud jazz music emanated from inside. I waited and waited. Finally, Peter opened the door. I could smell the whiskey on his breath. Anton, finally, now the real party can start. Come on in! As soon as I entered, Peter closed the door and turned to the small crowd. Gentlemen, a minute of your time, please. I now have the privilege to present to you the man himself, the fourth president of Sutherland, Mr. Anton Rain. I'd known him for long enough to understand that he was more than a little drunk. He made an elaborate mock curtsy as I passed him and walked into the room. The music stopped and I felt everyone's eyes on me. Thank you, Peter. What's next? A choir? A marching band? No, I'm saving those for your funeral. Peter laughed very hard at his own grim joke before continuing. Dear members, please give a warm welcome to our very special guest. If I may, Anton, here, take this. He handed me a glass of whiskey and put his hand on my shoulders. We all know why we've gathered here tonight, to celebrate life, to have a brief escape from our tumultuous professions. I personally don't know any better cure for stress than a little drink. I'll drink to that. People in the crowd laughed and raised their glasses. Now, the tradition dictates that as the club president, I have to remind you of the house rules, that tree. No politics, no wives, no one sober. Cheers! Peter drank the whiskey in his glass in one go. I took a sip of my whiskey. Anton Rain may have the power to make presidential decrees, but I, Peter Victor, the president of the club, now declare this party started. Music! Go! The band started up again. After greeting the crowd around me, I held a hand on my shoulder. Let me show you around. We walked around the quarters of his mansion. Statues and paintings lined those stark white walls. An arched window provided a view of a neatly manicured grounds, complete with a swimming pool. A grand lesbian marble staircase led up to the second story. Peter gestured at the massive crystal chandelier hanging overhead. That chandelier was made in the 18th century. Can you believe it? There's even a hedge maze in the garden. How are you paying for all this? I'll let you know a secret. Gus Mange has a lot of contacts in real estate. He brokered a good deal for me. He'll also be here tonight. I can introduce you if you like. Do you think he can arrange a deal for me as well? Why wouldn't he? I'm sure he can give you some investment options. We can even walk until we circle back to where we started. So what do you think of my little hideaway? It's amazing, but I hardly call it a hideaway. It's more like a palace. It definitely doesn't rival yours. Anyway, let's get back to the party. I arranged for some caveat about buying from Lesbia. You're gonna love it. He opened the door to the main hall and we rejoined the other guests. The music was louder and the mood decidedly more inebriated. Cocktail waitresses were carrying around plates of canopies, wearing dresses that left little to the imagination. So, this is what he'd been hiding from Velen. No one's hiding anything. She knows about these gatherings. He averted my gaze for a second before calling over one of the waitresses. She was in her mid-20s, wearing red lipstick, her blonde hair neatly tied in a ponytail. On her plate were toast points slathered in lesbian caviar Peter mentioned. I took a bite. It was rich, salty, tasting of pure seaside. I could almost hear the sound of waves and seagulls. Lesbian caviar, best in the world. I'm telling you, Anton, there are few pleasures in life that are like this. After the waitress left to serve another attendee, she flashed a quick smile at Peter over his shoulder. He smiled back a little too broadly. Sensual. His eyes were still fixed on her, with an expression I remembered from our many nights together as students. Oh, look, Gus, why don't you go talk to him? I'll be back shortly. Peter, I'm warning you. Don't make a mistake. Mistake? What are you talking about? I'm just going to the washroom. I'll be back before you know it. He left and I headed over Gus. Gus Major was standing next to a couple men that I recognized as banking industry magnates. So I approached all of them, turned to me, and bowed their heads. Mr. President, a toast to our new member, everyone. Gus and I clinked our glasses. The people around us raised theirs. I heard this mansion is a result of your connections. That's right, I do have a wide network in real estate. Peter told me a couple weeks ago they might be interested in potential opportunities such as, well, this. He opened his arms, gesturing to our opulent surroundings. Let's take a walk. The balcony has an amazing view of our lorry. We left the room and made our way to the balcony. On the way out, he took 2 cigars and went out to me. I'll take the cigar. I took the cigar and started smoking. Mixed with the taste of whiskey was delicious. We went onto the balcony. All of our lorry was at our feet. From this vantage point, I was able to see how expansive the building plot was. The swimming pool and the hedge maze were visible from here. Leaning over the railing, I admired the view for a moment before Gus spoke up. I know you're wondering about the deal Peter made. In a nutshell, thanks to my network, he was able to procure this house for half the asking price, which would have been impossible under any other circumstance. That cheap, huh? You must know the offered price is not suitable for every client. I would have been delighted to work with you, but unfortunately, a deal won't be possible this time. Not for me and my contacts, at least. Why is that? There have been some issues with my business, Mr. Rain. Nothing life or death, but the hard work I put on the canceled railway took up so much of my time that I've had to postpone some projects. I'm sure you understand. Think of it as an investment. I've already made an investment. Unfortunately, I have yet to see a return. If you excuse me now, I'll go refresh my drink. See you around. Dang it. I've never gotten that done. I think you gotta stay pretty capitalist. Maybe just do the railway outright. So I heard a rustling from the hedge maze below. I looked down and saw a silhouette. 2 silhouettes, actually. So close to each other, they seemed to be entangled. I was going to try to get better look. It was definitely 2 people kissing, but I couldn't see either of their faces. I returned to the party and spent some time mingling with the other guests, engaging in small talk about their businesses, their children, their relationships. About an hour later, Peter showed up next to me. See, I told you I'd be back before you knew it. Was that you in the hedge maze? What are you talking about? I told you I went to the washroom. Around the same time you were gone, I saw 2 people kissing in the hedge maze. Huh, one of your kitchen staff, huh? What do I even pay them for? Not that you can tell me anything. Hey, you can have it if you wanna. Anyway, you wanna drink? Because I do. He poured us 2 large glasses of whiskey, and we drank them in one go. Throughout the party, we drank and drank, just like old times. I woke up the next day with a pounding headache and more than a few regrets. My memories of the evening were hazy, but there was one important detail that kept coming back to me. The red lipstick on Peter's collar. But maybe my memory was playing tricks on me. Oh, Peter. Privatization plan is in full swing. The first schools have been transformed. Let's see. Small percentage of all institutions will be allowed to transition. Expected the ministry will gather a substantial amount of private funds from the initiative. We'll take that. HSU fire investigation suspended. That's not good. Vectron throws a lavish party. Sort of like financial aid from Arcasia. Well, looks like we're going to Benfi. Yep. Motorcade slowly made its way towards the magnificent Benfi High Arts Center. Night was falling, and the festival was about to begin. I flipped through the brochure that had begun outside the hotel. On the front page, there was a face of curtainless, made of Enrica. He was a Benfi native who had long been had an outstanding relationship with the city's current mayor, and personally invited to make tonight's opening speech. Benfi Festival was one of the biggest events of the year. It was originally marked as the start of the annual religious pilgrimage, a weeks-long journey still undertaken by devout tourists, but today was better known as a cultural celebration that drew thousands of revelers to the city. There were film screenings, concerts, theater and dance performances, art exhibitions, and celebrity-studded nightly galas. The opening ceremonies were broadcast on television and watched by millions. As cars slowed, a coterie of reporters and security guards watched to meet us. I turned my attention to Monica. Oh, that's awkward. Since Gloria convinced me to cancel her opening speech, things between us have been strange. She barely said a word to me all day. Will you ever forgive me? I told you my reasons. I know, and I understand. It's just gonna take me some time. She clearly did not want to pursue this topic any further. As soon as Sergei opened the door, we were enveloped by the roar of a crowd. The next few minutes were a blur of handshakes, photos, and reporter questions. The onlookers cheered as we walked the red carpet to the newly built arts center. We followed the guards with the cavernous white halls until we came to a set of arched doors leading to the auditorium. We waited outside as security did a quick sweep of the area, then headed in. I'd been asked to make a quick statement of remarks introducing Curtin Lest. I beckoned Monica to join me on the podium. I'm going to find my seat. Monica brushed past me, took her seat in front of the front row, and crossed her arms. I walked along the podium. I spoke for just about a minute, reading a paragraph my speechwriter turned out about the importance of the festival in Benfi to Swordsland. I concluded by inviting Curtin Lest, the mayor of Anarcha, to the podium. I stepped down and joined Monica in the front row. His arms were still folded. Welcome to the first day of the Benfi festival. He paused for a moment to let the crowd cheer, and his eyes briefly met mine. I nodded. This is a night for the people of Benfi, indeed for the celebration of Swordsland, to put aside their differences and come together in celebration. Yet as we're not here for the festivities, we must remember the real reason we gathered here. The crowd felt silent, for people were giving their full attention to what he had to say. This festival is founded around the principle of our cherished religion, Nurity. And over the years has been severed from its sacred roots and become something else, something more perverse. An excuse for public drunkenness and grotesque displays of flesh. An occasion for young women to parade their bodies and engage in lascivious behavior. As he went on, I could see Monica becoming increasingly agitated. What the hell is he talking about? Lascivious behavior? What century does he think we live in? I don't know, just let it be. Monica turned back to watching the speech, a frown on her face. Perversion, under the guise of the art, is not benefiting the beautiful city of... The crowd was becoming increasingly restless. Many of the younger attendees were murmuring in disagreement, while a few of the older ones were nodding vigorously. As I said, perversion hidden under the guise of art is not to be... Enough! The hall fell silent. Monica rose and continued. Mr. Lest, it is not young women who are a disgrace to this fine festival, but you. You and your backwards, puritanical attitudes, which have been holding this country back for far too long. Should I... Oh. Monica, please sit down. No, I will not sit down this time. Monica turned to face the audience, speaking loud enough to be heard without a microphone. Women of Swordsland, we must not let people like Mr. Lest use religion as a justification to mean oppress us. Our time has come. Shocked gasp ran through the crowd. A few people rose and applauded. Colonel Lester waited to speak. I think Mrs. Rain is forgetting a place. What do you think my place is, Mr. Lest? The kitchen? This festival is not about your retrograde traditions. We're living in modern times now. It's 1954. It is not your place to decide how the people of Benfi, especially the women, should be celebrating their own festival. Monica, that's enough. What do you mean enough? I've barely even started. I looked at the podium, see Colonel Lest's piercing glaze at me. There would surely be a price to pay for this. Mr. President, could you please control your wife before she embarrasses herself any further? I'm so sorry about this, Mr. Lest. Please, finish your speech. Thank you, Mr. President. Benfi's always been a beacon of culture, tradition, and religion. Many battles have been fought over this precious city. Army after army has tried to claim it for their own, but we've fought back and won every time. We stand here thanks to strong men who are able to protect their families, their lands, their way of living. Every day I praise God that we've succeeded so far. Scattered applause broke out from some of the older members of the audience. I leaned over to Monica. Sounds more like a priest than a politician. Monica said nothing, her gaze fixed forward. Yet the traditions that form the very fabric of society are being tested, even as I speak. He looked pointedly at Monica. We must stay true to our values so that Swordsland can prevail, so that Benfi can prevail. With these at the forefront, I'm convinced that Swordsland will continue to be the greatest nation in the world. I invite every single one of you to celebrate our roots and our traditions at this holy Benfi festival. I hereby declare this festival open. Praise God, praise Suzerain, praise Benfi. Amorga Vescor. Vergensis most of the people in the hall finished the decades-old saying, including me. Monica's lip moved, but she didn't say the words out loud. He exited the stage as the band struck up the official festival anthem. I spent the rest of the evening alternately watching the festivities and conversing with local politicians. By the time we got back to the hotel, I was exhausted. But thanks to the festivities still raging outside and the sound of Monica tossing and turning beside me, I couldn't sleep at all. Well, protesting, looting, and escort. That's not nice. Let me check the economy real quick. Agnolia still lacks investment. Lorne Rust Belt is still going on. Velen deploying special forces to Vernon. What's over here? That's interesting. Well, refugees on Vernon. Reports from our border in Vezek City, Vernon, show that there are about 1,000 people running from Vezek military forces towards the Swordish border. Well, it's time to go home. This won't be awkward. Felt like eternity since the Benfi Festival. Had it really been only less than 24 hours? I was at home, drinking an afternoon coffee on my balcony, a stack of newspapers lay by my side. Picking up one by one, reading and rereading the articles about the festival. Some of the newspapers were merciless against Monica for interrupting Kurt during the speech. A few even called for her to be barred from political matters. Others expressed their support. In any event, I was relieved that the incident hadn't reflected too badly on me. I was putting the last newspaper away as Monica joined me on the balcony. So, you've seen the news? Monica, I know. We can talk about this. What is there to talk about? I'm a disgrace with no support from my husband. It says so right there. Darling, believe me, my hands were tied. Anton, how could you? First you denied me the opportunity to speak at the festival, then you let that dinosaur left make a mockery of me and my cause. She grabbed the top newspaper and stacked and started reading out loud. With her shameful outburst at Anarcha Mayor, Colonel Last, First Lady Monica Rain once again proved that politics in an area best left to gentlemen. The President providing no support, her challenge to Lest was quickly defeated. The President provided no support. You can't even stand Lest, and you took his side while making me look like a fool. She started ripping the newspaper to shreds. After all these years by your side playing the doting wife, you know, my mother was right about you. I'm sorry. I understand if you'll never forgive me. Just tell me why. Couldn't you have said something? I was afraid I'd make you look weak by stepping in. I suppose I can appreciate that. There's another chance, you know, for you to show your real support. Perhaps the festival wasn't the proper forum to air my views on women's rights, but I still need to do this, Anton. I want to officially adopt the cause as First Lady, to actually get involved in politics, not just give impromptu speeches. I could even get your education ministers with those reforms she's working on. I know this is something you're passionate about as well. Can I count on you? Of course, my love. I'm looking forward to working with you in the future. Oh, Anton, this means so much to me. Monica hugged me tightly, and I felt some of the past day's tension melt away. Thank you. Noise came from the balcony door. We both turned our heads to see Deanna standing there. Mama, I'm hungry. Let's get to the kitchen, baby. We'll make Papa the best snack ever. Yeah! We left the balcony and returned half an hour later with a large cookie. Deanna had written my name and icing on it. As I sipped my coffee, nibbled on the cookie, I thought that I had made the right choice. Things were going to be harder, but at least my life at home was somewhat peaceful. Here we go. Economic report. Central banks, let's see. Possession has slowed down significantly and the system's actually reached stability soon. Progress is maintained. There we go. Have something all the way out the fuck there. A lorry base. Let's talk about the new police group. Clark Reiser arrived for a meeting to discuss the new police force. After Olivia informed us of his arrival, Lucian opened the door and let him in. Hello, Mr. President. Mr. Gallad. What a sunny day, isn't it? Sunny weather was... The weather outside was beautiful indeed. Clear sky and sunrise made the scenery look lively. I could even hear the sounds of birds chirping from the police garden, or palace gardens. Crap, I'm gonna need more water. Good to see you, Carl. How have you been? It's been going okay. We've had to tackle many security issues, but there's still some to go through. But more importantly, the security situation in the country is much more stable, allowing people to return to a normal life. Who the fuck is snapping me in the middle of the night? Oh, okay, bad. Please, have a seat. We don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I'm used to being uncomfortable. Same. He took a seat and corrected his posture. We have been informed of the establishment of the anti-corruption police under the Ministry of Justice. Indeed so, Mr. Morgana has given me the full authority to lead the new force in order to fight corruption from within. Congratulations. I hope we'll be close partners in the fight against corruption. Sir, we've been in a tough and long fight. We have a tough and long fight ahead of us. It'll take years, but we will win. You can believe that. I want to make it absolutely clear. My belief in you and the leader is unquestionable. Mr. Morgana, though not as inspiring as you are, has also shown great capacity. The more I work with her, the more I'm convinced that she's a very motivated and efficient administrator. Well, you're our best man for the job, and I'm sure you'll excel at it. Thanks for good words. You honor me, but our job is not yet done. There are elements within our state that have ulterior motives. Elaborate, please. May I speak frankly, sir? Sure, you are among friends. There are some very powerful deep state forces within the administration. Our investigation has just begun, but certain links we have discovered are troubling. Mr. Hawker has financial and other ties to certain figures. He is a dangerous man. Currently, we are collecting evidence to find out exactly what his network comprises. We've always expected the existence of such a deep state. The real question here is, who in the government and cabinet is on Mr. Hawker's side? Keep pursuing this, Carl. If you encounter any obstacles, my full authority will protect you. Thank you, sir. Will be relentless. The adversaries of his country will be found. The most important subject here is the old guard establishment. They may pose a direct threat to us. Once enough evidence is gathered, we should be able to begin the corruption trials if we want to. Hawker, Heron, and the cronies in the Supreme Court won't be able to be prosecuted unless the Assembly agrees to our new Constitution. It won't be possible to get them if we fail to pass reforms or we have low political support in the Assembly, but it is too early to tell. Besides, then there's other elements we were aware of. The oligarchs seem to have some people in the inside as well. We've received some unconfirmed reports that Mr. Tusk having bought people in administration. And there's seem to be evading taxes through bribery and exploiting the gray area in our laws. Our investigations in El Stord and Arbel also have found some suspicious financial activity from some of our corporations. If their tax returns were to be made public, it would help us track irregularities in their filings. We can look further into Tusk and Lothar Group. If that's your desire, we can certainly inquire further about their operations. Marcel, Quarantine, and HOS also have a strong presence in the media and many other industries. There's some patterns we observe that are unusual. It really seems that they have a powerful influence on the majority of these so-called independent news organizations. They might not be so independent after all. Marcel offered me a deal before and needs to be investigated. We certainly can. I wish we had proof of the incident. It would help in a case against him. Last but not least is the opposition leader, Franz Richter. We have received intelligence that he has connections to Arcadia. Upon further inquiries, we can't really see any legal besides a mismatch of information. The old guard must have pushed this forward. We shouldn't even consider moving against the reformist leader in opposition. Franz Richter is our ally. We should move against him. Very well, sir. There are so many potential corruption cases here. Therefore, we need a picture faction to focus on. We can't investigate everyone within the remainder of his term and come up with a thorough and compelling case. The most logical step would be to use the ACP to pressure either the oligarchs or the old guard. Where should we concentrate our anti-corruption efforts? Usually... Hawker in the Old Guard is usually a pretty good bet. I haven't done Tuscan the Oligarchs yet, which might be kind of fun. But we'll focus anti-corruption investigations on Hawker and the Old Guard for now. Yes, sir. We will focus our research and investigation on the Old Guard. Well, it's been decided. That should conclude the meeting. Good day and good luck, Mr. Greiser. Good day, sir. Garland Lucian left the room. Got that done. Marital problems in the Maroon Palace. Yeah. First Lady disgrace. No support from her husband. Oh, that's one he was talking about. Anti-corruption police formed. There we go. Next, let's do abdication for soldiers' armed forces. Determine in the current situation, the military and spending policy, we had a meeting in the White Room. Gonna toss this blanket over here. I'm getting a little bit too overheated. Peter, Vulcan, and Yosef were seated. General Vulcan, Mr. Lancia, let's start with the briefing. Very well, Mr. President. We have prepared a briefing to convey further details about the current situation of our military. I had a different voice for him, but I forgot what it was, so. First off, we've received an updated communication from your Arcadian Military Command. Their planes being moved to our Lori Air Base as we speak. Under our supervision, of course. Ensure that they do not forget which country's soil they are on. Of course, Mr. President. Now, let's move on to the military. Which branch would you like to know more about? Details on the Armed Air Force. Our Air Force currently has 410 planes in inventory, out of which only 140 are jet planes that are not in great condition. 30,000 pilots and support staff work in the Air Force, and they are commanded from the Mark Air Force Base in Air Lori. How does the Air Force work together with the other military branches? The Air Force is trained as a tactical support branch, which means it assists with other branches but doesn't collaborate. This does cause some issues like friendly fire and miss close air support opportunities. There are ways to improve collaboration with joint operations rooms. Something to think about, surely. How experienced are our pilots? Our pilots have average experience. They have a total of 450 hours flight time with their craft before they're qualified. This gives them more than enough time to get used to it. This is low compared to 1,000 or to 1,500 hours in other countries like Arcadia, Cortana, Lesbia, even Vogsland. Normally the hours provided should be higher, but due to the lack of funding, we can't increase the training times. Field costs are rather high. How about other branches? Any specific ones you want to know about? What's the situation of the Army? According to the latest reports from Camp Strongarm, currently we field 6 armies totaling up to approximately 400,000 active troops, which is a good amount. The real issue we're having is quality, not quantity. How do we compare to other armies? Rumberg's fields about 6 armies with amounting to 1 million soldiers. Lesbia fields 5 armies, which amount to 800,000 soldiers. Vogland fields 1 army of about 130,000 soldiers. Velen fields an army amounting to 100,000 soldiers, and Agnolia fields 2 armies with about 200,000. The sheer number of Rumberg's army is because of their forced conscription laws. Due to the massive gold reserves, they are able to afford it. On the other end, the Lesbian army is most advanced, followed by the Volksgaudian army. Both these countries put lots of money in modernizing their military. How about equipment? Our army is quite outdated by today's military standards. Most of our equipment is 2 decades old. To make up for our lack of modern military equipment, we resort to a large number of soldiers, which is not really a long-term solution. I've been trying hard to reduce the negative effects of this problem. We don't need a modernization program. A standard purchase of lacking equipment would do. We need more funding towards expanding the military size, otherwise our army will be seen as weak. Curious about another branch? Let's talk about Navy real quick. If you know me, my Hearts of Iron Force series, I'm not good or care too much about Navy, but we'll stick a little bit on it. Our Navy currently constitutes 59 ships, a total of 60,000 sailors and support staff. As you know, these ships are commanded from our main naval base in Conriat, where our flagship S.N. Renan is docked. How's our capabilities and power projection? The truth is we're limited to our near region due to the size and technological level of our naval ships. If we had modern support vessels, we could participate in our international operations. That's right, we still have some power, though. If we need, we could block the trade of the Markian Sea. To make up for our weakness, allying ourselves with naval power could also help protect our seas. Let's talk about other branches. Actually, let's just move on. Let's. The Ministry of Defense is disappointed about the lack of additional funds. We know that keeping the same budget for the military would cause some concern from you. I'd be willing to support the military in other ways. We could come to an agreement. We request any support we can get at this point. The military circle has been moody after they heard the decision. We expected more. We know that there have been high hopes, but the president has made his decision to prioritize other branches. We are stuck between a rock and a hard place without money. The military suffers from budget overextension in order to keep up with other countries. No use complaining now, Vulcan. Let's look at what we can do with what we have. I have been planning to improve the quality of armed forces by buying better military equipment. How would that be possible without funds? It won't be. There is one way. If we relieve half of the forces, that could create enough of a surplus that we could invest in new equipment. Quality over quantity. I like it. Vulcan's eyes-wide. We are barely matching the size of half our neighbors, while the other half have armies 2 times bigger than ours. How on earth would discharging half the armed forces and buying new gear solve our defensive issues? Better equipped forces much more preferable. We're 2 decades behind in gear and training due to the size and sluggishness of the forces. The reduction of the army would cause more unemployment, which could hurt the administration. What do you think, Mr. President? Reduce size and buy better equipment with a surplus. Let's reform the army and create a better, smaller, better equipped force. Excellent. I shall begin the plans immediately. I can hardly say I welcome this change. Yosef and Vulcan look at each other. That'll be all for today, then. Good work, everyone. I'd like to send my thanks for your attendance. The meeting concluded as the sun set over the concrete jungle that was Whole Sword. Even though it wasn't in Whole Sword, that's a little weird. Well, now we can do the foreign policy. H3 reaches conclusion. There we go. Agnolia or Velen first? Let's do trade talks. Swordland 1's flight from Whole Sword to Stallport took 3 hours, but went very smoothly. I need more water, damn it. We're about to touch down. Davey left his seat and came over while Simon was enjoying his newspaper. Looks like we're about to land, Mr. President. I looked outside. I could see Helgeland, the islands between Vogsland and Agnolia. So many conflicts over a small piece of land. The island can barely sustain itself without outside help. Huh. I don't blame him. It's in a very strategic position. Certainly, if you have Helgeland, then you are in control of the whole Valgos channel. I suspect it will be one of the topics that Van Horten will bring up as a bargaining chip. We must be careful. Helgeland might be under the control of Agnolia, but the international community is yet to recognize it, for a good reason, too. Nobody wants to make the enemy of Vogsland, especially because of the support of UC and CSB. Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We should try to look at the bigger picture. Someone folded the newspaper, got up from the seat and sat right next to us. Aside from the point of Helgeland, we need to be careful of additional requests. According to the deal negotiated so far, we want to sell us their steel for a higher price, and they are requesting easier access to our agricultural markets. In return, they are promising cash flow investments, especially in the Agnolia region. It's not hard to guess why. Precisely. Agnolian immigrants in our Agnolan region make up a good chunk of our region's economy now. During the initial negotiations, they brought up the topic of immigration many times. The fact that we relaxed our immigration laws will help tremendously. Let's see if we can shake hands on it. The pilot made an announcement that the descent had started. David and Simone went back to their seats. I took another look outside the window. I could see Stallport, the capital city of Agnolia. Large dockyard of a city and the canals appeared closer as their descent continued. Stallport was certainly a fitting name due to stall meaning canal. A couple minutes later, we finally touched down. The plane parked. I took a final look outside the window. The welcome ceremony from Agnolia was waiting along the red carpet outside. After the guards made their way out, I exited the plane. I waved at the crowd. There were many camera flashes. I started making my way downstairs. Prime Minister Van Horten was nowhere in sight. Instead, I was greeted by the foreign minister. After handshakes and a couple of photos, I moved to the car where Sergei was waiting to make our way to the office of the Prime Minister. Good day, sir. I hope the flight was comfortable. Yes, it was. Thank you, Sergei. I got in the car and made our way through the foreign streets. Our convoy was protected by Swedish and Agnolian guards in their vehicles. We began driving by the highway beside the port and saw dozens of dockyards and ships anchored. Some of the ships and machinery looked old. The city itself was very gray and grim. The building had a touch of Rumburg's famous monarchian architecture with a mix of Swedish signature domes on the older ones. We were now on the main road to the office of Prime Minister. Looks like they're not too happy to see us, sir. Sergei pointed at a large crowd that gathered on both sides of the street. It was a protest. They were shouting and yelling at our convoys. Some of them held signs wearing Swedish. Sordland must pay its debts to Agnolia. You know, I never knew Agnolians were so ungrateful. Not everyone sees a great leader like you every day. They can yell all they want. I know what it is. They were always scared of Sordland's potential, and now they're afraid that the lion leads Sordland. They are afraid of you. Not just that, but you're a man as selfless enough that you would pay for your driver's children. A true leader, I dare say. I treat my people well. I can attest to that myself. I'm very honored to be a driver, and very grateful. The convoy started slowing down. We've arrived, sir. The car continued through the gates while the security vehicles went the other way. We finally came to a stop in the front of the door. Sergei left the car and opened the car door. I exited and began walking to the door where dozens of press and the Prime Minister were waiting for me. I saw the PM more clearly as I neared the door. He was shorter than I thought. Mr. President, welcome to Agnolia and the beautiful city of Starport. Good to see you, Martin. He reached out for a handshake. The press surrounding us had been waiting for this moment. Shake hands and hug after. We shook hands and I went for a hug, which was received well by the Prime Minister. The press went wild and took more pictures. He gestured to the entrance of a 200-year-old Parliament building. This way, please. We entered and the press followed us inside. I would like to present you with a gift as a sign of friendship between our countries. An assistant showed up immediately with a large glass box in her hands. It contained a single parchment inside. This here is one of the first treaties written in between Sordland and Agnolia. May mark the renewal of our friendship today as well. This is an amazing gift. Thank you. Our photos were taken again. I gestured at one of my retainers who was holding our gift to the PM. Gift and ornated... Ooh. Our gift was an ornamented ceremonial sword made with Swedish steel. Ah, an excellent specimen. This must be hundreds of years old. It looks like this is Swedish steel. It's very, very fitting. Thank you. Cameras flashed once again. Let's go to my office. Follow me. I followed him as we entered the office of the Prime Minister. It was a room of wooden mineral decoration. It was far more modest than I expected. We sat down, he leaned back and made himself comfortable. Sheesh. Thankfully done with the ceremonies. I nodded. He got up from his chair and moved over to the bar. There were many varieties of liquor. Would you like a drink, Mr. Rain? I wouldn't mind some Agnolian vodka. Ah, you know your drink. He poured the drinks and gave mine to me before sitting down again. True, gentlemen. You can expect that about you, Mr. Horton. This is how we do things in Agnolia, Mr. Rain. I appreciate the converts, but flattery won't sway me this day. First of all, I'd like to say I've been watching your recent changes to the immigration policy. I'm glad you've decided to keep it relaxed. Immigrants are very important for beneficial economic development, and we believe that very much in Angola. Agnolia, not Angola. It is reassuring to see Sordland move in a more modern direction. Are you implying we haven't been modern? Well, certainly not under Tarkin Sol. What did you call him? Corporal Sol? General Sol? I see you did your homework. We think alike, don't you worry, I'll modernize the country. That is actually very good and refreshing to you. I hope you can do it. So tell me, Mr. Vane, is Sordland a reliable trading partner to Agnolia? Of course, Mr. Van Orton, you can trust Sordland. Very good. It was a good move to start building the highway. Overall, that will positively affect our trade. Very done, Mr. Vane. No need for flattery. I give credit where it's necessary. So what's it going to be? First of all, if you shake hands on this agreement is going to be very beneficial for the both of us. You should be able to solve your recession in no time with the investment and money coming from us. This is, as you know, on top of the reduced tariffs for trade in between our countries. Of course, in return, as discussed between my people and your people before, you will allow us privileged access to your agricultural market. You'll be buying steel from us via a price which is a small price to pay per leads. That is the deal. Would you say, Mr. Rain? This is not a beneficial deal for Sorlin. You went through all this effort to come and say no to me? You have thrown away many months of work down the drain. This is a mistake. I can't agree with the higher prices. We prefer to continue with the current steel deal. We believe that Sorlin has been given an unfair advantage for too long because of the previous agreement, Mr. We can no longer accept this, Mr. Rain. Our people believe that we have been long overshadowed by Sorlin. I'm here to fix that with a beneficial trade deal for both of us, nonetheless. Is there no room for discussion? We don't want to lose our cooperation with Sorlin. Maybe I can agree with the old prices. I will offer an alternative for the sake of our history together. As you know, Helgeland has been long contested between Agnolia and Valkland. You know the international community does not recognize our rightful claims on the island, including Sorlin. Wouldn't it be good if Sorlin finally announces the recognition of Helgeland as Agnolian territory? If you do that, you have a deal. Well? Sure, Sorlin will recognize the island. Excellent. Before we dive into the paperwork, I want to offer you another possibility. I'd like to expand our newly founded partnership. We have regional forces like Vumburg that have been imposing danger on both our countries. I am of the mind we must unite, so, by the power bestowed upon me as the Prime Minister of Agnolia, I'm offering a military alliance between Sorlin and Agnolia. What do you think? I'll accept. That is excellent to hear. Our ministers will go over the details later. Well then. We must continue the official program. As you know, we will pay a visit to our founder's grave for another ceremony. Afterwards, we'll move on to the state dinner. After you. As soon as we left the office, I briefed Simon and David on the outcome of the meeting. The rest of our state trip was full of fake smiles, handshakes, incredibly long ceremonies, and even longer meetings between our ministers and their counterparts. We came to the end of the trip, the way back was mostly silent. I couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when we touched down on Whole Sword. It was time to discuss the good news. Very good. Agnolia is friendly with us, which is good. I like that the trumpet when you open it up. Well. Agnolia enter alliance. Sorlin announces all of this. Economy. We've covered trade volume. There we go. Military is adequately equipped. Diplomacy. Got cheaper steel. Agnolia has a priority. Not bad overall. This education is supporting the massive overall education is progressing well. All schools in Sorlin will collaborate in the reduction of hours taught in citizenship, soulism, and national subjects. Very good. Good overall. Meanwhile, rioters are arrested. Go figure. I guess we're going to Velen now. Sorlin 1, fight to Vlakovitz. Sorlin 1's fight from Whole Sword to Vlakovitz took approximately 5 hours. Despite heavy turbulence, I managed to sleep a little. Along with Simon and David, we landed at the international airport of the capital city of Velen. Our aim here was to finalize a trade deal drafted between Sorlin and Velen. Shortly after, our plane landed, door opened, and the sun blinded me for a moment. I stepped outside. I saw the soldiers lined up on either side of the red carpet. They must have been at least 100 soldiers. The marching band started playing, and the soldiers immediately saluted me. I saluted the soldiers. The bomb officer, Victor Smolak, was waiting for me next to a military jeep with a few soldiers by his side. There were a few reporters on the side waiting with their cameras. He was a tall man, almost as tall as me. He was wearing large sunglasses. No, he's not. That's a fucking lie. And his attire was a regular suit, contrasting with the military attire of everyone else in the field. Mr. President, welcome to Raklovitz. He immediately motioned for an embrace. We hugged him, and many cameras went off at the same time. He turned around for a couple additional poses. Nice to see you, Mr. President. Now that the pleasantries are done, let's go. We'll take the Jeep for a tour. This is why I usually don't do Russian accents when I do my other series. When I returned from the marching band, we boarded the Jeep, military Jeep. He sat in the driver's seat and I sat next to him. After we started speeding up, the soldiers saluted again. Victor Smolak saluted back. I saluted the soldiers. My security team and detail and Victor's security detail started following us immediately along with a team of reporters. We'll first go to the city center to see the opening of a statue. Sounds exciting. This is an important occasion for Velen. I'm sure you will like it. We kept making small talk about the flight and weather until we started making our way into the city center. I don't know if it's supposed to be like that. On almost every corner, there were reporters taking photos of. Oddly enough, every street that we took seemed completely empty. Is Raklovitz always as empty? I had the locals close down their businesses because of your visit, so you could enjoy the city more. There we are. We arrived at the city center. In the middle of a large plaza, there was a covered statue. Lots of people gathered behind fences, and they were waving both Suzerain and Velen flags. Victor waved back to them. My people have been very supportive of this visit, Mr. President. I am sure you're delighted to see. A man came closer to the fences and started yelling at Victor. With my limited knowledge of the Vezic language, I understood the words Victor and murderer. Once instantly, two soldiers showed up from behind the man, and he was taken away. Thankfully, the sun is up. Today will be a good day for reveal. What happened to the man who was protesting you? Oh, which man? The one in the crowd? Don't worry about details. He must have been a troubled fellow. Let's focus on the event. We took our places in front of the statue. With a drumroll, statue of Victor Smolak was uncovered. The statue was done pretty well, except that he was made more masculine. He's wearing a cloak and holding a sword in his hand. Excellent statue. Very lifelike. What do you think? Yes, it's very good. Very lifelike. Glad you appreciate the art behind it. Join me for a walk. I followed him through the streets. At every corner, more and more photos were taken. We stopped in front of a pastry vendor on the street. Give me 2 strudel. The man just behind the stand smiled and gave us 2 strudels. I put my hand on the wall and brought up some money to give the vendor. Hold up. Your money doesn't count here. I got this. He handed the money to the street vendor. The cameras flashed again. Afterwards, we walked a short distance to the palace. Passing the gates of the palace, we made our way into the main building made from ivory-colored stones. The old guard towers flanked the magnificent main building from both sides. The inside of the palace was very spacious, with a very large chandelier hanging from the inside. Grand staircases made from the same ivory stone had red carpets on them. On both sides of the upper levels, guards stood with traditional outfits of the old Vezic kingdoms. We finally reached the office of the President of Velen. The door closed behind us. The interior boasted gold ornaments on the walls, ivory colors, and various jewels attached to different artifacts of old. Sounds like Tabarovsky-style architecture. As was customary in Velen, we sat down on the carpet. Now we can talk about trade deal. Finally. But before that, he clapped his hand twice. Bring the Keisha. A few assistants immediately entered the room, carrying a large ornamented Keisha, the well-known smoking instrument originating from Velen. They immediately lit it up, and the room was filled with the smell of tobacco. He nailed the smoke and handed me the Keisha. It was probably the highest quality tobacco I'd ever smoked. I handed it back. He took another puff, filling the room for even more smoke. So, Mr. President, that's too long. Can I call you Anton? Sure. Anton, tell me, what do you think about Rumbug? They're a threat that needs to be dealt with. I agree with your sentiments, Anton. They are a threat to everyone in the region. I assure you that time will come. Are you planning something? No. Not yet. For now, I have something else in mind. I'm listening. He clapped his hands together. Two assistants came into the room with a map of the border regions between Velen and Swordsland. He pointed at the border. Look. Bloods and their so-called BFF are causing problems for me in region. I know they also are a problem for you as well. I will not allow these traitors to exist in my borders, so I will hit them with all the might of Velen. These terrorists need to be destroyed. I call it Operation Bear Trap. What do you want from me? He grinned and lay back on a large pillow behind him. Here is deal. I will give you best trade deal in region. You will give me your assistance crushing terrorists on both our borders. I need specifics. Sure. My spies have infiltrated BFF settlers, and they found caches of KA-7 force. We traced back to Rumbug. This alone justifies my retaliation to protect country. First of all, we found that some of the shipments are going to Swordsland. Yes, Anton, you see, this is not just Velen's problem. Let's take a step back and talk about what you get in return. I promise you no tariff agreement, co-investment projects, and oil. In return, you will assist my country in destroying the terrorists in my country. There might be international ramifications. To hell with international ramifications. I will protect the country. I don't care what they say. What I want from you in return for all the money and resources is joint operation in between all armies against BFF. I'll take a moment to think about this. Let's negotiate Swordsland's contribution in this operation. You are a tough one, Anton. Normally, I wouldn't offer anything else, but I like you. Here's final offer. When the operation starts, with you or without you, there will be stragglers trying to cross into Swordsland. We just want you to support operation, even if you don't join. Stop terrorists from fleeing into your country, and you will have your deal. Simple, isn't it? So what do you think? Deal. I knew I could trust you, Anton. Tonight, we will drink. He clapped his hands again. Drinks, dances, music. A group of dancers and performers entered the smoke-filled room. After the performance of songs, we clinked our glasses to our newly found partners while sipping the sweet Vezic liquor. The next day, I returned to Swordsland with a hangover. Well, there we go. You have tariff-free oil with Velen. Increased trade volume. Velen border defense. Speech of the President on the Reforms. I came to the Grand National Assembly of Swordsland to deliver a speech regarding the new Constitution and to ask for the support of the Assembly before the upcoming vote. I walked quickly through the corridors, giving my greetings to people on my way towards the parliamentary hall. When I entered the building, the party was in complete chaos, with shouting and cursing between the parties. There was a heavy argument about a proposal made by an MP from the NFP. I took my seat inside the special area and reserved for the ministers. Gloria was shouting from her seat at the center of the hall as she hit the gavel 3 times, with each strike heavier than the one before. Order! Order! I saw her, Kibner, standing up from his seat and shouting towards the members of PFJP. Mr. Kibner, calm yourself. Show respect to the procedures of this assembly. Despite her efforts, the argument continued for a couple of minutes before everyone took back their seats and finally went quiet. Mr. Kibner, next time when I tell you to do so, you either take your seat or leave the hall, so we can proceed with these procedures of this assembly and continue our duties. Some MPs from the NFP shouted back at her in protest. Honorable ladies and gentlemen, if you allow me to continue, she pointed at me. We have the president here with us today. He has asked to give an important announcement. The assembly felt silent. You have the floor, Mr. President. I walked to the stand as loud clapping started on the USB's side. Brothers and sisters, I'm here today to raise an important question regarding our outdated constitution. Our elected assembly has always been overshadowed by the executive and the design judiciary branches in Swordsland. The Grand National Assembly must be able to exercise its job properly and without obstruction. However, our current constitution fails to guarantee that. Therefore, we propose changes to the constitution to prepare for a more democratic era. Applause came from the USP and PFJP states. We will rebalance the branches of the government to ensure a more democratic process. I focused on unity. It's more important than ever that we should stand united as a nation in these challenging times. I call everyone to be part of the changes our people have been calling for. We all want to make Switzerland a better place, don't we? Let's embrace democracy, unite under the banner of our people. And surely Switzerland will be great again. You want to avoid this, by the way, otherwise you will fuck supporting your party. Let's embrace the future. Loud cry. Noises came from USB and NFP seats. I took a breath and continued. I ask everyone to think clearly about our current situation and join us for change. Be part of a new era for Switzerland. Join us and vote for our proposal. Let's write the future together. On and off with a salute. For a democratic Switzerland. Assembly war with all kinds of different reactions. The whole USB stood up and started applauding. Thank you for the speech, Mr. President. I walked back to my seat with as many MPs asked to speak. Friends Richter was among them. Yes, Mr. Richter? Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to thank Mr. President for his speech. We, the PFJP, stand in agreement with the need for a more democratic constitution. I would like to thank the ladies and gentlemen of the United USP for their more open attitude compared to last year's. As long as Mr. President's words prove not to just be words, we will be behind this much-needed movement of change. We welcome this attempt. I ask Mr. President to share the final contents of these proposals as soon as possible. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Suddenly, Kassar Kibner started yelling from his seat. The President must have lost his mind to cooperate with the likes of you, Richter. You and the PFJP are nothing but puppets of Western interests. Order? Madam Speaker, I know you're in agreement with me as well. Don't stand by idly while this administration is making deals with snakes and undermining the entirety of Order. Mr. Kibner, how many times do I need to say? You are speaking out of I demand to speak. Gloria gave a stare. She looked annoyed. Very well, Mr. Kibner. Go ahead. Mr. President. The nationalist movement does not agree with your priorities, nor the way you're trying to implement them. The NFP will not stand with you on your new constitution. Let it be known the NFP's concerns are not including the so-called democratic reforms. Thus, Mr. President has no right to claim them as such. We'll stand by our ground against any attempt to bring down our established political culture and national values. Thank you. Kassara went back to his seat, but the chaos in the assembly continued. Asked to speak. Yes, Mr. President. Mr. Kibner. We're not specifically cooperating with someone, but everyone. We ask that you also join us. He watches as he slouched on his seat, legs crossed. Do not stand against change. Be a part of Mr. Kibner. We can do so much more together. Thank you. Gloria looked at me to see if I finished my response. Thank you, Mrs. Speaker. I got up from my seat and started my walk towards the exit. MPs kept shouting and responding to each other, creating a loud mess where nothing was legible. Order! Order! This topic is finished. We're moving on into our next topic. So we left the hall. The shouting could be heard from every quarter of the Grand National Assembly. Let's see. We've got 142 signatures behind the proposal. Efforts are underway to increase the support and reach out to necessary members to get 150. Well, there we go then. So far, so good. I feel like this is shorter than usual, so guess we're gonna get here. Thanks always for watching, my friends. If you like, so really check the news real quick, actually. If you have any comments, feedback, concern, anything sort, leave in the comment section below. I read the comments again. Appreciate any other feedback you might have for me. Fun chat, play games, anything of the sort, leave in the comment section below. Check out all the links in the description box below as well. My Twitch, Discord, Patreon, all that good stuff is down there. Let's check this out real quick. The Velen boards have been closed and reinforced. There we are. Yeah, that's really about it, boys and girls. Thanks so much for watching. My name has been Mr. DB333. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.